At the gym, I I wear shirts or I wear things that get comments. I do it purposely, mainly as a way to see my reflection in the mirror, to see what people are willing to say, how they say it, and to gauge where I am kind of energetically or in my body. And what I mean by that is, had I worn some of the things that I wear now back when I was not fit, I was overweight, I was not as professional as I am now, I guess you would say, I would not only get comments, I would get sarcasm, sneers. I would get it would be a very tense, very, very tense situation. Especially my reaction would probably be much more on the negative. Today I got a comment on one of my shirts. There's two shirts that I wear that always get some kind of comment. The first is a shirt that it's black. It's like a black bar. It's a black shirt with a white background and black lettering that says King. And then very similar shirt, but a green background that says Leader, period, with a period at the end. So I'm at this cable machine, and this old guy that I know comes up. I mean, I know him from just saying hi. Like, I've seen him a couple of times there. He comes up and starts to use the other side, because I was only using one side of the cable machine, so he comes and uses the other side. And he says, he looks at my shirt and he says, "So, what are you the leader of?" In a somewhat, testing way. And a lot of people in that situation, what would they do? They would ease the tension, right? They would want to ease the tension. They would feel the need to make I just thought of something I needed to do. That's why there was that pause there. They would ease the tension. They would make some kind of excuse. They would make it to where there was no rocking of the boat. They would feel obligated to communicate to the person a satisfactory answer, right? Well, powerful men do not feel obligated to do anything for anybody, especially somebody they don't know. And my response to him was a simple lots of things. So he says, "Well, what are you the leader of?" And I said, "Lots of things." And you can tell after I didn't continue, he was like, "Oh, and so then he was more on the defensive, let's say. He was more on the defensive and said, "Oh, well, what kind of things?" And I said, "Well, I run a couple of businesses, I'm part of a couple of different organizations that I'm part of and everything like that." So the reason I bring this up is because the old me would have gotten a lot of crap for it. And I would have felt, because I was not powerful in my self-belief, I was not powerful in who I thought I was not powerful in my speech, I was not powerful in how I carried myself, I was not powerful physically. Because of all of these things, it was a handicap, a big one. there are some, it's not just a physical thing. It's not just big, huge muscle men. You have to be this big, huge muscle man or whatever to be powerful. I know plenty of very elderly men who they give off this vibe that even though they might be physically weak, they they are so strong in who they are, so strong in their network, so strong in things that they've created and built that that you almost see, if you could see what they looked like in their energy, they'd be like an Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so even with that, you have this initial respect. You have this initial you have this like this already just this feeling that this guy is not to be messed with, or he's to be respected, or I cannot just treat him like every other individual, or an individual that's below me. And so how does that develop? That develops through what we've been talking about for a long time, these last few times, is through your self-concept. And it develops through when you encounter certain situations, you're rather than kind of going with the flow and being like a ship tossed in the wind, and with all the waves and everything like that, allowing the ship to do whatever it does, which will eventually cause a shipwreck, you get behind the helm and you start to change things. Yeah, it still might be windy, it still might be stormy, you might have waves, you might have all these different things going on, but ultimately, I forgot to charge my computer. I just remembered I needed to do something, but I might have enough charge, we'll see. Ultimately, when you have the when you are when you see yourself a certain way, you have to start to embody it. You have to start becoming, and through imagining yourself in a certain way, you have to start becoming that. For me, as a successful entrepreneur, I had to fight the feeling of, well, here I am at my cubicle. There's no way I can get to where I want to be. I'm not making the money I want to make. I don't have the skill set, and none of my family, except for one aunt who is amazing, uh, is an entrepreneur. I have a lot of amazing aunts and uncles who are awesome, but none that were like great entrepreneurs. And so all of these things are facts thrown, waves, storm, things stacked up against me, right? On top of that, I was introverted, so to sell, to market, to advertise, to be in front of the camera, it wasn't that was very, very difficult. If you look at, gosh, if you go and look at my old videos from 10 years ago, 11 years ago, it was horrendous. The all of these things, night after night, I would start imagining myself speaking in front of crowds. I started imagining myself driving certain cars. I started imagining myself and viewing myself talking with certain people that I would be intimidated to talk to, but as friends. There are people who are multi millionaires that at the time I was not doing anywhere near what they were doing. And if you looked at just where I was, there was no way I would ever be friends with them. I would never have any connection with them whatsoever. There would be nothing, that no bridge to bridge that gap. But I would, night after night, I would imagine myself talking to that person as if we were friends. I would imagine myself being in their house. I would imagine myself golfing with them, or having dinner with them, and doing things that would happen if we were friends, right? And it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in a week. It didn't happen in a month. But over the course of a couple of years, it was actually not even that long, of that many years, I ended up becoming friends with those people, every single one of them. Because as I was conversing in my mind, I was becoming that person. We all wish that we could do these great things, and we think that the solution to it is some kind of outside force, that maybe winning the lottery, or getting that new job, or getting that great customer, or whatever it might be. But nothing external will change you. Of course, yes, you can get that one crypto that makes you a billionaire. But even with that, a lot of people who get a lot of money not only spend it, they end up giving it away in taxes, because they have no idea what they're doing. Like half of it in taxes. Whereas if you were the person who could handle that, you probably would pay zero taxes. That's why a lot of billionaires pay zero taxes. And so you can lose it very quickly. And this is why it's so important to become the person first. Become the person that is attractive. Become the person that is powerful. Become the person that is smart. Become the person that is intelligent with money. Become the person that has high level connections. Become the person who has powerful connections. Become the person first. And eventually reality will start to shift and change to that. So how did this all come about, what I'm saying, through that leader comment? The guy saying, hey, well, what are you a leader of? Internally, there was zero butterflies, zero reaction. It was, and there was no need to prove myself to him. In fact, it was quite the opposite. It was, prove to me that I even should be talking to you. That's how I treat everybody. Of course, I'm nice and kind to everybody, and I smile and all that other stuff. But in the long run, you have to prove to me why I should be talking to you. Today I had people who didn't treat me the way that I wanted to be treated come and work out next to me. Two people in particular. And I think they were expecting me to say hello and expecting me to try and hold a conversation and so on. For me, I just kept doing what I was doing. And they came and they went very quickly. I don't have any obligation to anybody. If I'm not treated the way I want to be treated, it's your loss. And that's how you start developing. Maybe you like being treated a certain way. Maybe you expect to be treated a certain way. Maybe you have an idea of who you want to hang out with, and so on and so forth. There is nothing that obligates you to anybody that treats you the opposite of that. So the the reality is you are the center of your universe. And you can have everything that you want. All you need to do, and literally all you need to do, is become the person that is able to handle that. If you want to be a leader, become a leader. If you want to be mysterious, be mysterious. If you want, and practice it in your mind every day, every night, and you will become that person. You want fancy cars? Imagine having fancy cars, driving fancy cars. And it'll eventually happen. You are very important. And the more you start acting like it, the more important things are going to come into your life, and you're going to have a life of abundance, a life that is fun, a life that is different than everyone else's, a life that's challenging in a good way, and a life that you absolutely, absolutely love.